isn't easy, but experiencing it is. iRacing puts you in the driver's seat with the industry's leading sim racing game. Drive on laser scan replicas of the greatest racing circuits from around the world. Go head-to-head against other drivers chosen by skill-based matchmaking to ensure competitive racing at every level. Compete across all your favorite series. In officially licensed cars, engineered to deliver the most accurate driving experience possible. Join a race or host your own with players from across the globe. Race against the computer or in a league with friends. Feel the thrill behind the wheel. Visit iRacing.com.
We hit a third of the way through Season 1 of the Freedom Motorsport Alliance Prototype Challenge Series. And more to the point, well, we've had 3 steps on our calendar so far out of 12 weeks. We first visited the World Centre of Racing on March 9th, then headed to south of the border in South America in Brazil to Interlagos. Last time out, we ended up at the home of Petit Le Mans, Road Atlanta. This time, we head to Europe, more importantly Austria, for week 4 out of 12 for the GT2 and LMP2 multi-class series here on Racer Nexus. Hello everybody, welcome along to the Racer Nexus Broadcast Network, and up here in the Global Broadcast Centre, well, it's Alex Goldschmidt once again, but I'm glad to be rejoined by the man who is producing our stream behind the scenes, but also my partner in crime, my comrade in arms, so to speak. Welcome back, Marshall Crocker. Marshall, I know you had some other duties last week when Mr. Campbell joined me for Road Atlanta, but good to have you back here at this circuit here at the Red Bull Ring in Styria.
I can't wait, Alex. We're finally on your side of the Atlantic. We finally get to head out east to the one of the beautiful European circuits, one of the FIA Class 1 world-class circuits that's played host to some great races at this high level of prototype performance in the past, obviously, typically in the open wheel world, but today 2 classes of great prototypes, a championship battle that through 3 races has seen plenty of parity, plenty of variety. We've had a good variety of winners, and today is a track, Alex, I'm sure you'll speak to it all day, that creates passing opportunities, it creates tire wear, it creates pit strategy, every ingredient to create the perfect souffle of great racing action. I can't wait, should be a fun one, and we will have plenty of storylines to talk about today, because more than ever, the series is close, and the drivers that have been added, that have been joining the series over the course of these first few weeks, are getting faster and faster, and there are some newcomers today I think we should keep an eye on.
Definitely. First of all, let's take you through the scores so far in both GTP and the LMP2 divisions of this series. Brock Morris leads the way in GTP by 8 points ahead of Anthony Jenkins. It's been a bit of a battle royale between the 2 caddies. Brian Scott rounds out your top 3 on 113, followed by the Kimi Raikkonen Ferrari tribute, let's say, or Alfa Romeo. Chase Matsko rounds out the top 4 ahead of Jay Davis, Ryan Peters, Zach Tankersley, Jacob Brown, Matt Mars, and Brandon Dempsey rounding out the top 10. In LMP2, it's Jeremy Eshelman that leads the way, 10 points ahead of Brazil, and Vortex Racing's Decio Lima, Gustavo Ferraro, Ignacio Arroyo, and Broughton Jones round out your top 5. Eduardo Sales, David Marino, Jody Nielsen, Aaron Sanford, and KH Donahue round out the top 10. More to the point, as we're just about to go trackside, we're going to take you through the calendar quickly. So after this round here at the Red Bull Ring, we go to our first 90-minute Enduro, the only 90-minute Enduro at Spa. Then we go to 60 minutes at Monza, Hockenheim, Le Mans, Silverstone May 14, 120 minutes, 2 hours. Imola, Sebring, both 60-minute adventures on May 21st and May 28th. Then 120 minutes, 2 hours, double points for the Watkins Glen finale on June 4th. More to the point, Well, let's give you a bit of an info about the circuit. The Red Bull Ring measures just under 2.7 miles, 10 turns and all, has a seating capacity of 105,000 people, Grade 1 listed, based in Spielberg, about an hour away from the hometown of the former governor of California, Arnold Schwarzenegger. Opened back in July 1969, then reopened back in the 15th of May 2011 thanks to the late great Dietrich Mateschitz, who brought Red Bull Racing kicking and screaming to dominant form in many a way through the Sebastian Vettel and Max Verstappen era of Formula One. However, 60 minutes are on the timer. We had some great battles when it came to both GTP and LMP2 last time out at Road Atlanta. But the big thing here is there's going to be a lot of straight line speed, a lot of slipstream, and also very, very heavy braking zones coupled with elevation, especially going into Remus at turn 3. Then you go down the hill into turn 4. Of course, that was the infamous moment when the infamous location where we saw Alexander Albon trying to go around the outside of Lewis Hamilton, and the latter picked up a 5-second penalty for not giving enough room to the Red Bull driver going around the outside of him. But this is a track that is actually one of my favourites because, funnily enough, I am going to make Marshall really jealous about this right now. Mid-July, I head here for Porsche Sports Cup Suisse, so greetings from Portugal, from the Algarve, as I'm on duty this weekend. But you know what, Marshall, I think we need to hit trackside, because here is your starting grid. We've got Brock Morris and Anthony Jenkins on the front row of the grid. Oh, these two are going to be at loggerheads once again. Row 2, Anthony Sorrentino in the Acura versus Jay Davis in the Caddy. That is row 2. Chase Matsko and our first resident Canadian on the grid, Faraz Ibrahim on the outside of row number 3. Then we go to row 4. And on this occasion, it's going to be Ivan Guillemette and Ryan Peters. And Zach Tankersley has not set a lap time in qualifying. As well, that is definitely not what the... I think, which car is that? That's the 68. That's, funny enough, that's Guillemette I was just talking about. So we've got Eduardo Salles and Macon Gonzani. Of course, Macon finishing behind Brandon Anderson last time out at Road Atlanta. Or B.A. Anderson, as I'm going to nickname him now after his comment in the Discord. BA, you're welcome. Right, he's joined by Gustavo Ferraro on row number 6. Row 7 coming up very shortly, as we are seeing the drivers weave to side to side. Jeremy Eshelman and Matt Mars round out your top 7 rows. Then we go to row 8, Alex Anderson and Ignacio Arroyo rounding out that row. And, well, you can't exactly miss Alex Anderson's car. Aaron Sanford and Broughton Jones round out row 9. Then it is going to be Jody Nielsen and David Marino that is going to round out the top 21 cars, 22 cars on the grid, including Decio Lima. Didn't have the best qualifying, the man from Vortex Racing, the 119, and Zach Tankersley due to start at the bottom end of the grid. I don't think Zach is going to take part in this race, so we'll have 20 cars here at the Red Bull Marshall. And you know what? I have to say, Brock Morris has brought the chrome livery. Oh, now that is an IMSA livery if ever you saw one, folks, on that car.
Well, certainly is. Those Dex imaging colors iconic in the world of North American motorsport. He's always good. He's got great taste in historically and honoring the culture of certain cars and paint schemes. I've always respected as a Corvette driver on Mondays. He's always run that iconic Corvette yellow on any scheme he uses. But here we go, that championship battle. You talked about how close it was pre-race here, Alex. All the main contenders, Morris, Jenkins, Sorrentino is bad fast. They're all right here at the front. The only exception, Zach Tankersley will start from pit lane.
Yep, so we are set and ready to go for 60 minutes for week 4 out of 12. Pace car in pit road. They come out of Red Bull Mobile Corner. Barney, the flag marshal, waiting to bring us to green here in Styria, and with a roar of GTP and LMP2 power. The GTPs get us underway. We are green and heading into Nicky Lauda corner at turn 1. Now it's the turn of the LMP2s as Morris takes the lead. And looks like Sorrentino, who has switched from the Acura. He's gone to Ferrari power this time. He is pulling alongside Anthony Jenkins up the hill as they go through the kink at turn 2. It's going to be the tight right hand. You've got to be very, very careful as Eduardo Salles and Macon Gonzani, the two Vortex teammates, battling away. They are wheel to wheel for the lead. Ginzoni gets through as Eduardo Salas runs a bit wide. B.A. Anderson. Brandon, you're gonna feel the wrath on this one, buddy, after that comment in the Discord. And they don't say nothing. Hell hath no fury, like a commentator scorned. But you know what? BA's not doing too bad in this first couple of corners here, Marshall.
No, very strong start there for Brandon Anderson, up one spot. Same with Mike Longizoni there, up from the outside pole in the LMP2 class. He's passed his teammate Edward Salas, who, as we just check on here, Sorrentino battling with Jenkins as Sorrentino grabs P2 there. We see a couple moving around. Eshelman has moved up into P2, and the reason is Salas is dropping.
Not just Salas, but Anderson as well. They've dropped to what's happened to Anderson. That's the big question. So let's have a look at the replay. Oh dear! Do not tell me that Salas he's gone for a move on the inside and he's spun around and Anderson's had nowhere to go. He's locked up and they both ended up Izzy litter, and that was coming off of turn 5. So that's why. I mean, luckily enough, at least Salas only spun it around and Anderson was able to get on the ankles pretty quickly, but they've now got to start fighting back. As here we see the battle for the race lead, as Jeremy Eshelman is showcasing that he's not one to be tried for, but he is leading the LMP2 standings. Has got Matt Mars to the outside of Gustavo. Oh no, that's Alex Anderson. So Anderson went to the outside of turn 3, and Ferrara just went, yeah. You think you're going to have that position by the time you get the corner? No, and then it's like banging panels all over again. They go into turn 4. And Alex Anderson running in that wonderful AO Racing. Rexy is back on the grid, as we have seen. Obviously, quite recently, his Manti has made its debut in the IMSA WeatherTech Sports Car Championship. There we're going to see a lot more cameras. Big thank you to our drivers for getting their cameras ready for tonight. There's Anthony Sorrentino, the man from Kenosha, Wisconsin, as he has got through on Anthony Jenkins and now is trying to use the grunt of that 499P to pull away from the man second position in the GTP classification. Of course, Anthony didn't have a great run. He had a couple of dramas at Road Atlanta last week. There is the man from Tampa, Florida. Always great to chat with Anthony Jenkins. He's a very positive individual, and he was very matter of fact. He said, I do like the Red Bull ring, but we'll have to see how things go. Of course, he had his racing gloves on to keep his hand, you know. And people might say, well, it's a game. No, it's not a game. These guys are so heavily immersed, it's not even funny. I mean, we were taking a look at some of the onboards beforehand, weren't we, Marshall? That some of the setups are like absolutely incredible, and that just goes to show the amount of passion and investment that these drivers make into their sim rig setups.
Yeah, go to a golf club and tell the golfers that golf is just a waste of time or it's a time killer, and see how that goes. That's exactly how it goes if you try to tell sim racers that what they do is a hobby or what they do is a game. I've always been one on the more lenient front on that amount, and even some of the effort you got to put into these series with great drivers. It certainly doesn't feel like a hobby when you're 12 hours into practice for a 45-minute race. Just keeping an eye here at the road to field. Evan Gilmetta is in the middle of a battle for effectively the back position there in the GTP class. Zach Tankersley is now appearing as on the racetrack on my end, but he continues to be out on the general live timing. Looking back here as well, it is Alex Anderson trying to chase down Gustavo Ferraro for currently the final podium spot just a few minutes into this race. And we are seeing already very different handling characteristics early on here, Alex. I've seen the back end on Alex Anderson's 067 car be very squirrely here early on. We should be through the window of tire warming. It's an interesting feature that we get with Thursday, you don't get with Monday's GT3 series. Open setups, we're going to see different approaches. We'll see if Anderson has enough trim here, if he's trimmed out enough to make the move into turn number 2.
Yeah, here at the Red Bull ring, you need a bit of a balance between high speed as Anderson dives the inside on Gustavo Ferraro, takes away P3 from Vortex Racing Brazilian racer, as Matt Mars and the number 34 is just behind. Then we've got the man from Portland, Connecticut, Evan Gilmette, being followed by Ryan Peters. Ryan currently rounding out the GTP field as new fastest lap of the race. Oh, hold the phone. Keep your eyes on Anthony Jenkins as Jay Davis has just got all that. Well, I just saw a big plume of smoke in front of Gilmette and Peters. unfortunately, Jay Davis has spun the 317 caddy, and there he is recovering. Of course, that livery does catch a few eyes. We can have a look at the Racing Nexus replay. It's going to be, it's coming out of Earth and on the curbing, hits the AstroTurf on the exit, and there she spins. And unfortunately, well, at least that was a code brown. Clean up on aisle 3, bring them up along to clean up the mess for Jay there, unfortunately, but still manages to get it pointing back in the right direction. Meantime, in the LMP2 side of things, runner-up last week, Mako Ginzani is now 5 seconds ahead of Jeremy Eshelman, with Alex Anderson running out the top 3, Gustavo Ferraro and Matt Mars running at the top 5. Brandon Anderson now up to P10. Decio Lima is moving up the order. Now, the most exuberant interviewee we have here on the Racing Nexus network, the man from Brazil in the number 119, he is steadily making progress, and he's got David Marino and Broughton Jones who are battling side by side. It's like to me, to you, to me, to you, and Decio's loving this. He's lapping this all up because he says he's thinking, right, when you make a mistake, it's not just me, there's also my teammate Eduardo behind me, and we will definitely not hesitate if we see an open door in front of us.
We've seen the Vortex Racing teammates do an exceptional job in the past of really teaming up and holding station, waiting, similar to the F1 movie, the Flying V formation, the pivotal climax of that film. We're seeing it right now as they go side by side, Salas and Lima, two drivers we know here, Alex, have plenty more pace than their position would indicate. They both had a couple of incidents there early on. Salas, of course, was your pole sitter in LP2, now being impressively held up there by the pairing of Jones and Marino.
Yeah, so we are just over 7.5 minutes in. Of course, the other thing is, because this is a very, very much, how can I put this? It's very much a point and squirt the throttle as hard as you can coming out of the corners here at the Red Bull Ring. So fuel mileage is going to be critical. We did see at Road Atlanta a couple of drivers having to come in from a very, very late smash and dash towards the end of the races, as now, up the inside, Eduardo Salas on David Marino. A little bit of a hip check as well, or a body check if you want to call NHL tactics here. Obviously because of what, if people do know Marshall, he does commentate on hockey, or does work behind the scenes as well. But yeah, it's a bit like a body check, isn't it? Where rather than being put in the sim bin for 2 minutes for sticks or 2 minutes for hooking, just give them a little bit of a body check, just rough them up a little bit.
Well, oftentimes in racing, it's the threat of the body check you got to look out for rather than the hit itself. And it's that threat of, I'm a wild man, I'm crazy, I might do something unexpected. Whereas in hockey, you don't threaten a body check, you just do it.
Yep. Yeah, you put your shoulder and your hip into it, and you've got to make sure it does the desired impact. But there's Mr. Brandon Anderson in the 001, winner last time out at Road Atlanta. So he's going to try and make his way back up the field as we are 9 minutes into this 60-minute race. And Anthony Sorrentino, the fastest driver overall in the 604 Ferrari 490P, the man from Kenosha, Wisconsin. 1:21.746. He's not the only driver in this race that's gone under 1:22, because Jenkins has also done a personal best. 21.961, and there you see Brock Morris, Faraz Ibrahim, Chase Matsko. Those are our top 5 fastest drivers so far. Chase up 1 spot, 5th on the grid, but it has been a bit of an early drama for Jay Davis. He's about 12 seconds behind the number 5 Porsche of Ryan Peters, as there we see a bit more side-by-side. Decio Lima, well, Mr. Anderson has just come alongside and gone through at Schlossgold at turn 4 to say hello, I'm taking that place away from you, sunshine, and he's got the job done.
Indeed he has. Continues to be a passionate charge back through the field for a couple of drivers. Really has stalled out. Very impressed with the pace here from Broughton Jones and Dan Marino. Really serving as the cork in the bottle here for all these drivers who had those early struggles on cold tires in lap 1, trying to come back through the field. It's proven troublesome here in the early stages.
I kind of knew that was going to be the case. I mean, especially with the fact that the LMP2 is everyone's in the same vehicle, so everyone's got the same machinery, and the only thing they have to blame if something goes wrong is the setup more than anything, because these drivers will have put in quite a bit of real time. We do have it sometimes, Marshall, where drivers don't always get the opportunity to practice as much as they like because life just simply gets in the way.
Of course, you know, every situation's different. That's kind of what's beautiful in a way about sim racing, is it's more unpredictable in the real world because these drivers are all real people with real lives. This isn't the full-time job, and you never know what kind of dedication these drivers can put in. Just because you're fast one week doesn't mean it's going to carry over. It's often what gives these championships as much parity as we've seen in this series. We're going to, just for a quick moment, we're going to take a quick 20-second commercial break here. We'll be right back in a moment here on Prototype Challenge, live from Spielberg, Austria.
Right, well, 11 minutes and 45 seconds into week 4 of 12 of the Freedom Motorsport Alliance Prototype Challenge Series, live and direct from the virtual recreation of the famed Red Bull Ring in Austria. Welcome along to the Racing Nexus Broadcast Network. You're joined from us up here in the Global Broadcast Centre, Alex Goldschmidt, Marshall Crocker, with you all the way through this particular week here on week 4. Of course, next week we go to the first of 3 endurance rounds, so we might have an earlier start next time when we head to Spa-Francorchamps. Well, we head to our next race, which on the schedule is going to be Spa-Francorchamps. That'll be a 90-minute race, so an hour and a half of racing here on Racing Nexus. And then we've got two 2-hour endurance races later on in the season, May 14th, and that will be week number 9 at Silverstone. And then we've got the season finale, Watkins Glen, just off of Elkhart Lake, Wisconsin. A legendary place itself. June 4th, 2 hours, and it's the series finale, which means double bubble, double points, which could mean that someone who thought they might have an outside chance might find their chances have just multiplied by the factor of 2. But here we have our LMP2 drivers, Eduardo Sales, behind Gustavo Ferraro, and these two are teammates, of course, as Marshall was just saying a couple of moments ago, that the trio of Gustavo Ferraro, Eduardo Sales and Decio Lima have been doing a really, really good job so far, but Decio didn't have the greatest qualifying. He made his way up to 8th position, but has dropped back down, rounds out the top 10. But still, Anthony Jenkins has really started motoring here at the moment, Marshall, and he's closing that gap to Anthony Sorrentino in the 604 Ferrari for P2 in the GTP division.
Yeah, let's check here the fastest 5 for 5, the last 5 laps, checking the average lap time for these drivers, and your race leader 3rd on that leaderboard. Very clear top 3. There's kind of a separate tier, and I think we've kind of known that up in the GTP class so far this season, Alex. Brock Morris, Anthony have done a really exceptional job this year, just the pace they bring to the racetrack. And right now it looks like it is Jenkins 1:21.9, the only driver averaging that lap time over the past 5 laps, as Faraz Ibrahim now puts himself in that list as well. So your top 5, they are the top 5 in pure pace, just not in that order. And Brock Morris has been on a pretty hot streak here as of late, doing exceptionally well on both, again, the Monday series and over here in the prototypes. He's in a hot run of form, and he is a gentleman that is the most dangerous thing of all as a racing driver, is a driver that feels inevitable, somebody that is able to qualify up front and isn't mistake prone enough to let that slip away. I've seen in a number of races over a number of series lately, he gets out front, he gets in control, he's a very hard guy to pass. So it's going to be one thing for Sorrentino and Jenkins to make up that time, which they are on Brock Morris, you see on the bottom right of your screen. It's going to be another to find that avenue by. They are doing they're doing everything they can to put themselves here in contention. As Brandon Anderson down pit road here for the first time on his day. First driver we've seen it take pit service.
Yeah, and you can just see it's very, you can see, I mean, look at his rig setup. I mean, that's pretty stand out. I mean, you can see all the button panel on the right hand side, the LEDs glittering away like stars in the sky on that steering wheel. You know, a lot of people like a lot of, you know, sim racing is always about having your own stamp, having your own identity, and your sim rig is very much a personification, like real life driver in their racing helmet. It has its own character. It's been built up, and you can see like the setup is so cool. I mean, especially with the triples that we can see on that camera shot. But you can see here that the GTP leaders are now making their way through back market traffic. There's Anthony Sorrentino, the man from Wisconsin, being followed by Mr. Jenkins. So it's quite funny when we've got two drivers with the same first name, and they are both battling for second position, because Brock Morris has been the tour de force in the first 3 weeks. Of course, 2 wins to his credit so far, as they now make their way down into turn 9. But the man from Lapeer, Michigan, doing a really good job in the 05 Dex Images car. He's going to take us on to lap 13. He has a lead of just over 1.4 seconds. Meantime, the lead in LMP2 has expanded very wide at the moment. Macon Gonzani, the man from Brazil, has now got an 8-second lead over points leader Jeremy Eshelman in the 03. And Alex Anderson in the 067 rounds out your top 3, a further 2.2 seconds adrift. So the gaps are expanding. But meantime, well, Alex Anderson has just spun the car. Oh dear, that was going so well until that point.
Let's check out our Racer Nexus replay here, see what goes wrong for him. So down the hill, the highly cambered inside right-hander here, I believe turn 5, the back end. Hard to tell from that angle. I think he gets a piece there of that outside curbing, and that was the word of the week this week. Everybody was talking about, and I mean everybody, look out for that curbing. It is so treacherous here. It's so unpredictable. It is true rumble curbing. We'll check here from the blimp perspective, see if we can see where that back end gets hooked. That's those left tires. He kind of centers the car. He kind of rides both edges of that curb. Those left tires as he's getting back off that curbing hook. And these very high torquey cars, these prototypes with the incredible raw horsepower, you do not have a lot of room for error there, Alex. If your tires are not set up exactly the way they need to be pointing the car, as we see Evan Gometa almost go off. Incredible save there from Portman's. It is absolutely going to spell the end of your race 9 out of 10 times.
Yeah, well, one of the big things, I mean, for those eagle-eyed amongst you, the way that the curbing is set up here at the Red Bull Ring is that the top part of the curbing is quite high, and especially when you consider how low to the ground these GTPs and LMP2s are. And actually, they go diagonally forwards, so it basically can provides like a little bit of a gutter for the rainwater to go out. And when you have these cars so low set up, it is quite ridiculous. But here is the battle for P3 in the LMP2 division. Matt Mars in the 34 ahead of Eduardo Sales in number 22. They're going to go down into turn 9 at Rindt corner, which is named after the late great Jochen Rindt, who was the only driver that was posthumously given the F1 World Drivers title, and we're on board with Matt Mars. Now look at that for a setup, folks. I cannot see for Toffee anything apart from screens, then dash, then as you were saying earlier on, look, he's even taken a quick swig from the drinks bottle going up the hill through in towards turn 3 at Remus. That man has. I hate to think. I hope he's got like, those blue tinted glasses, so at least he doesn't get migraines after jumping out the sim. Oh no, Aaron Sanford. Oh, the man from Crownsville, Maryland, has just dropped it. Oh, now I'm wondering if there was something wrong there, because that did not look usual to me there.
That is a wheel disconnecting if ever I've seen one.
Yeah, just like literally the car just went straight on. He had no control over it whatsoever. So Aaron Sanford and Alex Anderson has also been in the pits. Yeah, I think it's, like you say, it's just wheel and direct drive just had a bit of a miscommunication and disconnected, and then straight away he's gone into the barriers. Alex Anderson is also in pit road, so Spike has gone into the pits. So that is another LMP2 driver that has hit drama as we see our battle for P3 and P4 continue onwards. Meantime, Anthony Sorrentino is closing in. He's got the flashers on at the minute, and he's right. Brock Morris has just pulled in with 20 minutes completed, so Sorrentino is now the new race leader after lap 15 has been completed. So maybe Brock Morris is doing one of these 3000 IQ strats once again, but Alex Anderson has rejoined in Spike in the 067 as here comes Eduardo Sales to the inside of Matt Mars, and this is at turn 3 at the top of the hill at Remus, and they are going to be wheel to wheel. Sales has gotten ahead by a nose, but Mars is going to be fully on that throttle all the way down towards Schlossgold, and this is going to be very, very close indeed. Man from Nobleville, Tennessee, to the outside. He's going to chance it, but he's going to be... Oh, he was so close to that gravel. So close to that gravel. But he had to back out of it. And I'm not at all surprised, because I definitely know he did not want to have a moment like we saw just a few seconds ago. But here it is, the battle for P7, because Brock Morris, 21.2 seconds on his pit stop. Now, Rob and I were having this conversation last week, Marshall, and I think you and I have also had a chat about this when we were doing Daytona in Interlagos, that you've got to be very, very mindful about how your pit stops are going to come to you as the race progresses.
Yeah, it really is such an interesting thing to consider, because you really got to commit pre-race. You have to make that pre-race decision. Am I pitting? Am I deciding my strategy in the race in the pits based on other drivers? Or do I have a preconceived understanding? What's the optimal race time way to run my race today? And it's super easy to practice race time. You just have to do long stints. You got to trial and error. Do I take tires? Do I not? When's the optimal time to stop? When can you deal with the tire warm-up phase? But when you get into a spot in a race where maybe you're further ahead in the grid than you expected, you want to hold a faster driver behind. Or if you're a guy like Sorrentino here, who knows he's quick, but he knows how bad the dirty air is at a very high lateral load circuit like Austria, the undercut, or in this case the overcut, can be so valuable. But in that sense, Alex, you got to throw the book out. You got to take your plan of when you're planning to pit and throw it out, because now it's Sorrentino's prerogative. If Brock Morris is there taking tires, he's going to have a cold tire warm-up phase he needs to deal with. Now is a perfect time. Put some laps down, get the overcut, take the lead that way. That's why I love fuel strategy and pit strategy, and we'll see if anybody thinks they feel the need to take tires. I think with how many medium speed corners there are, I think drivers will.
Yeah, so Macon Ginzoni into the pits. Eshelman, Sales, Mars are also in the pits. Now, I want to come back to what happened with Alex Anderson in the 067 LMP2 car, because I don't think he's not circulating anymore. So Aaron Sanford has called time on the race after the wheel disconnected and he went straight on into the barriers. But Alex Anderson has now dropped us down to 11 LMP2 cars left, and Sorrentino continues to lead. Jenkins still trying to chase him down. There's Gilmet closing in on Faraz Ibrahim, and these drivers have also opted to stay out. So this is going to be quite crucial as to how the race will proceed. So Ignacio Arroyo, Jeremy Eshelman's teammate, is now in. Here comes Mars and Sales coming out of pit road. So this is going to be quite crucial, this this sort of reset of the ledger, if you will, because whenever a pit stop cycle happens, it's normally those that want to be a bit brave on the strategy, and one man who is being brave on the strategy, well, Brandon Anderson, he pitted on lap 10 and he's getting right close to the rear diffuser of David Marino, who has a little bit of a wobble as Sorrentino comes into pit lane. Jenkins actually got through on him, and well, I'm not too sure if Sorrentino had a moment, because we did see that last time. Now that look at the middle of the screen, the camera for Anderson. He's got the gear shifting in the top left-hand corner of the middle of the triple screen setup. That is ingenious.
You know, I'm a young unmarried man, but when and if, and hopefully when, Alex, I get married, I hope my future spouse, my lovely future wife, is willing to let me make purchases such as a cool digital gear shift indicator, an actual on-screen telemetry display. That is so cool there from Brandon Anderson. We have lost camera footage here for Chase Matsko, but he is now your new race leader there, as he's the final car in the GTP class, at least the final car up in the competitive half of the field, who has made a pit stop. But my goodness, Alex, these purchases, I know you can get creative. I know some people, program their own. Maybe Brandon did his own display there, but it is so cool what you can get here in sim racing these days. As we see Morris and Jenkins, here we go. Jenkins out of pit road, and that overcut seems to have worked a little bit here, Alex. He's right up in the back bumper of the 05.
Kind of shades of Daytona International Speedway 4 weeks when we started this journey. Back in effectively 3 weeks ago, so to speak. So yeah, I mean it's more the case of how long are you going to play the game. Oh, Anthony Sorrentino, what has happened to him? His pit stop has been an absolute nightmare because it was a 1:02. Matsko now down pit road, so the man from Kenosha has had a bit of a drama, but you can see by the look on his face, folks, he doesn't seem that deterred by the pit stop. But I'm sure that it's a bit like a duck in a pond, duck on a pond, calm on the surface, but the brain's like the paddles underneath. The feet are just going like the clappers. So his mind must be going like a million miles an hour, like saying, how can I get this time back? So I'm wondering if he caught a penalty of some description, whether it was pit lane entry, whether it was speeding in pit road, whether it's a pit lane exit, because you can cause yourself problems if you go over the exit line, and that will give you a straight slam dunk penalty, or whether he's had to repair some damage. Now that's the big question, but Chase Matsko is now on his way on pit road exit and rejoins 21.6 seconds behind Anthony Jenkins in the number 732 that rounds out your top two at the moment. So the man from Saxonburg, PA. Up the hill he goes in the number 26, Kimi Raikkonen Sauber Ferrari 499P. Let's see if, Sorrentino is now trying to chase down the caddy of Jay Davis, and it's a bit of musical chairs at the moment between Evan Gilmet and Ryan Peters, as Chase Matsko gets a yellow flag for track limits abuse, so he's going to have to serve that, but at least he knows that he's got a 4.6 second buffer to the man behind. Meantime, Ginzoni's lead, well, I thought it was going to be big enough with 7 seconds. He's 11.4 seconds ahead of Jeremy Eshelman, so the Brazilian really bringing the fight to the points leader, as we are just over a minute away from hitting half-time here for week 4 of the FMA Prototype Challenge Series, live from the Red Bull ring here on Racer Nexus.
It can be so hard to keep up with the lap-to-lap pace here with so many drivers and having the interval, but let me tell you, Maicon Gonzoni is at a different level compared to the field. The only guy who's consistently running in the 1-minute 25-second lap range is Mr. Brandon Anderson, who is, again, due to earlier incidents in the race, he's all the way back here in 6th position now, still running good pace, and the way that his interval here works out, he's a 1.5 seconds behind Gustavo Ferraro, he's 3.5 seconds behind Matt Mars, and not too far ahead is Eduardo Salles. Anderson is very much still in play here for a podium position. That entire portion of LMP2, once you get past Gazzoni and Eshelman, is very close here, and there's very realistically a chance Brandon Anderson, with the lap times he's putting down right now, can find his way back. But a nice lap time last time by for Eduardo Salles up there in P3. 126.1 is the closest he's gotten all day to a 125. So it is all to play for there in the LMP2 class. And right now, with Sorrentino, like you said, out of that fight up front, Alex, I think the fight there in GTP is going to be for the race win. Although we got one more here to keep an eye on. Davis, and now Sorrentino after that pit issue. We still don't quite know yet what went on there. He is right there. And Ryan Peters, who I feel like I've never seen Ryan Peters in that awesome kind of tribute to Spike scheme. I think I've never seen Ryan Peters not in a battle. I don't know how he does it, but he's always in play for a position. Right now he's in play for 6th and 7th in class. Right now serves as effectively the caboose on the train of GTPs. He's right there. He's very much still in play. Putting down some pretty solid lap times there now that he's come out of the pits.
Boost, that's a word I've not heard in a while, my friend. So, oh, well, there's a misstep from Jay Davis coming out of the final corner. And here is Sorrentino. He's going to dive to the inside, but it may be the case that Davis is going to carry the speed around Nicky Lauda corner. But you've got to watch out for the sausage curve just off of the painted surface. And now here comes Peters with a head of steam. They're going to be going up the hill at over 170 miles an hour. Peters to the inside of Sorrentino. Can he get the buy one, get one free special? Not quite, but he's going to dive bomb up the inside of the Ferrari, who now manages to get the traction down. So Sorrentino fighting back as they go over the top part of the circuit. It's very undulating, it's very deceptive here as they head into turn 5 at Schlossgold. Can Peters go to the inside? No, Sorrentino to the outside. Very close between right rear and left front fenders on the respective vehicles. So the Ferrari just getting the nod ahead of the Porsche 963 Hybrid. So we are past the halfway point here in the FMA Prototype Challenge Series here for week 4 out of 12. Let's take you through the top 5 roundup so far. So Brock Morris leads the way in GTP. He's 3.7 seconds behind his chief rival in the series, Anthony Jenkins in the 732 Caddy. Chase Matsko in the number 26 Ferrari 499P has just rocked it coming out of turn 1. That is not exactly what you want to do, so that's going to mean that Evan Gilmet is going to move up into P3. The man from Portland, Connecticut, not to be confused with Portland, Oregon. Same town name, just different states, folks. Faraz Ibrahim, the man from Toronto, Ontario, Canada, now up into P5. Macon Ginzoni now leads in the LMP2 class by a massive 13.2 seconds ahead of Jeremy Eshelman. The points leader in second position. Eduardo Salles rounds out your top 3 in the number 22. That same number used by Jenson Button and Lewis Hamilton at one time in their Formula 1 careers. Funny enough, when they both went on to win their respective titles. 2008 and 2009. Matt Mars in the number 34, the man from Loganville, Tennessee, rounds out your top 4. And Gustavo Ferraro in the 777 rounds out your top 5, and the Brazilian is on the charge. He's got Brandon Anderson, winner of week 3 last time out at Road Atlanta. That's your top 5 roundup here at the just past the 32 and well nearly 33 minute mark here, but still, as oh dear, that was not part of the plan, and there is a multi-car incident. Sorrentino into the back of Davis, who spins around, and Ryan Peters has absolutely nowhere to go, and that was into the final couple of corners.
Yeah, let's take a look there. We cut right to it as it was happening. Sorrentino right on the back bumper curve. Davis. It doesn't make sense to have been a pit entry, Alex. That would be my first guess there, is that Jay Davis is slowing down, rolling up for his pit entry. We'll have to watch that back. I want to see his input here, because to me, it just looks like he slows down an absurd amount here into the corner. We'll try one more time here from Sorrentino's onboard. I think maybe that will be the giveaway. Yeah, good early lift. Reasonable speed. He just blows it right up.
The thing is that you could oh well, and then Ryan Peters' his front axle goes skyward like Knight Rider Turbo Boost back in the 1980s with David Hasselhoff behind the wheel. But more to the point, the thing is that Sorrentino approached the corner in the right aspect. It was in 6th gear, flat chat, and there you can see big damage to the right front. So that's going to hurt the aero on the 604 Ferrari. You could see from Sorrentino's perspective that he was doing everything right. He was approaching it at high speed, drops it from 6th to 3rd, and is braking. The one thing I'd like to see is the onboard from Jay Davis at that point, because that will also give us the second half of that story. So onboard, It's like he's lifting and coasting.
I think he's trying to enter pit road. He goes, you see there, he's in second gear when the crash happens. Second gear is not a racing gear. That is considerably off the pace. I think he's trying to enter onto pit road there. Looking at the data though, his pit lap prior to that, I think he had plenty of time to go. He'd already taken a pit stop in the race. Not a desperation call. I'm wondering maybe that's serving a penalty. If he'd come out a few laps before, that would be about the time you'd have to serve a pit exit violation, but it just looked like a miscommunication, which I gotta say, one of the best things about FMA, guys generally do a pretty good job there with the public communication. Most drivers run kind of a standardized universal voice chat. Many can communicate with each other. You just want to see a little bit of communication there to make sure if a driver's trying to pull off the lane. I know it's tough, Alex, because obviously that corner, there's not really an off line, and certainly if there is, it isn't on the side that you're trying to enter pit road from. Just a miscommunication that's going to make Anthony Sorrentino's day. That's already been a little bit tumultuous for a guy that was as fast as he was pre-race, just a little bit worse.
Yeah, and Anderson now in for the second time. So it looks like we're on course for, I think, for GTP and for LMP2 with a two-stop strategy here at the Red Bull Ring. And sometimes what these drivers will do, and it's quite matter of fact that they will decide, you know what I'm going to do is, I'm going to get out of this current situation that I'm in and maybe put myself in a better place. And sometimes that does really, really work well. But then there are other times when you'll see drivers like Brock. Oh dear, no, we did not need to see that. Matt Mars has just had a tag with Gustavo Ferraro. Chase Matsko's had the mechanical black flag, so has Matt Mars. They're both going to have to go to pit lane. So first of all, this is Ferraro, and oh dear, this is not going to go well because Mars is off track, and don't tell me, tags the right rear, so that is going to cause enough damage to the front splitter of the car for it to warrant the mechanical black flag. But Matsko we did see coming through as, oh, now that's the reason why, because he hit Matt Mars from behind because he was catching a big lick of speed. And there's the contact between Ferraro and Mars, and so Matt Mars has got front and rear end damage, firstly because of the tag from behind from Matsko.
This battle's not over. They're still going at it in the later stages. You mentioned Matsko's now come to pit road with a meatball. Matt Mars now with a meatball flag after that incident, and you could see it on turn in. Up to turn 2, he had about a 45-degree steering kink. He had taken damage from that initial contact. I'd actually like to watch that back one more time, see who he makes contact with, because I think I see that a moment before he'd gone off track. So the inside here.
So,
oh my
no,
goodness.
He went straight into the path of Matsko. Matsko had nowhere to go. It was like either I stick on my line and I do what I can, or I have to go right. And he didn't have enough. I don't think he did not, in my honest opinion, have enough time to go right hand down and get that car out of the way of harm, as we're now seeing Jenkins come in for his second pit stop. So I did say that it was going to be, you know, that point and squirt sort of mindset of this circuit here at the Red Bull Ring. You are using a lot of fuel because, especially when you're accelerating, there's more of a bigger combustion cycle going through all the cylinders, especially on that 5.5 litre naturally aspirated flat crank Caddy V8, which is one of the most glorious noise. Yes, I'm a bit of a Porsche nut, but when you hear the Caddy fire up, when it goes off the electric powertrain and then goes straight to V8 power, you can't exactly not miss it. You know, if someone said, "Oh, that's a bit of a loud car," yep, that's the Caddy.
But you wouldn't be able to say that because you wouldn't hear them over the Caddy. It's a negative feedback.
Like, yeah, no, you'd be shouting like, "That's the Caddy." That's what the conversation would be like. They'd be like, "What?" And then you wait for the noise to die down, and they go, "That's the Caddy." Oh, is that why I couldn't hear you? Yeah, you're damn right, you couldn't hear me.
Everybody with the Cadillac prototype program needs to learn sign language. I'll tell you that.
Yeah, but just don't use any particular hand gestures, especially including fingers. That's all I'm saying. Right, Brock Morris now in for his second tour into the pits, and there you can see his setup. But everyone has their own preferences when it comes to wheels, screen decks, HUDs. I mean, some drivers have like a triple screen setup, and then I know some of my friends who are professional IRL drivers, they'll have a fourth screen above the middle one on the triple setup. And there you see some bright, it's like there's a disco going on in Tampa, Florida. It's like Anthony Jenkins might be going straight to the club after this, with that set up behind him. But it's just the case that there's just so much different opinion on what works for different drivers. And as we were talking about, investments, there's a lot of money that people put into the sim racing, and it's not just the equipment, it's also, you know, when you build up your iRacing over a number of years, you are constantly having to wait until, you know, week 13. And when people go, yeah, week 13, that's when we find out if we get any freebies. And that's one of the biggest things that iRacing drivers like. It's having a good old freebie. And especially when there are car updates, tyre updates, you know, it changes quite a lot, as Anthony Sorrentino is now back up to P5. And he is closing in on Ivan Gilmet in the number 68 car. So, yeah, Chase has taken a big amount of damage, as now David Marino's been in for his second pit stop. So I think Chase is going to be there for quite a while, because that front end of that Ferrari 499P does not look healthy.
You know what does look healthy? Your new race leader's lead. Anthony Jenkins now leads this race by 6.3 seconds after post-pit cycle over Brock Morris. I don't know if that's a mistake on Morris' part on exit, but I'm going to keep an eye on Brock's outlap time. It was a 1:46.6 for Anthony Jenkins, and he has a massive gap now over formerly your race leader. We'll see Brock Morris's time here. 1:46 was the time for Jenkins. 1:59.4 the outlap from Morris. A full 13 seconds slower on the pit cycle. I'm going to guess he took tires, and I showed it just before the pit stop. It was about a half-second advantage every lap for Anthony Jenkins in the late stages of that stint. Now, see if that gap flips, because Brock Morris can warm tires up pretty quickly, and if that's the differential there, and Jenkins took tires earlier, you got to think, Alex, this is very much still in play for Morris to close that gap up. He's already taken a second out of it since I started talking.
Maybe he's been like Sergio Perez was like at his Force India Racing Point days back in Formula One, being a little bit of a tyre whisperer. And if you can conserve the tyres better here, especially in that midpoint of the race, you've done yourself a pretty good favour. And what this will do is it will even up the score between Brock Morris and Anthony Jenkins. The fact that both drivers, so when we look at the win statistics, so to speak, Brock Morris has 2 wins, Anthony Jenkins has 1. So Jenkins will be like thinking, well, yeah, I think we'll both be really interested in the post-race interview show to find out from Anthony himself why he decided to only spend, folks, 10.5 seconds in pit road.
The guy I want to quickly take a moment to shout out, in true form of his home nation, and the home nation I happen to share, a Canadian kindly, generously taking a podium position, but currently doing so from the lowest of the podium spots. It's very Canadian of us. We want to be on the podium. We want the glory, but we're respectful, we're kind, we're gentle enough to make it the final spot. Faraz Ibrahim, what a debut today in the 97 Porsche car, currently sitting about 7 seconds ahead of Anthony Sorrentino. But don't sign, seal, deliver his spot on the podium for tonight quite yet. I know we got only 17 minutes left. He is about a second a lap slower right now than Anthony Sorrentino. That should tell you Sorrentino will only need about 7.5 laps to catch him, and he will have plenty of time with what's left in this race. But a fellow Canadian like myself, Toronto countryman, where I did my schooling years, many of my best racing moments, both in real life and in the sim, took place in the beautiful city of Toronto. Weirdly, Toronto, not so much the hotbed of racing talent. Markham, Ontario, a smaller subsection of the greater Toronto area. Weird prolifery of pretty good local racing drivers, specifically karting drivers, coming into there. Faraz Ibrahim seems to be doing a great name for the beautiful, bright, northernly country of Canada.
Yeah, and there's also a talent that has emerged from the Hertfordshire area, which is not too far outside of the hometown of 7-time Formula One world champion and current Scuderia for HP Scuderia Ferrari driver Lewis Hamilton. And Corley Bishop, a good friend of mine, is running in the senior Rotax division, as Gilmet comes in for what will be his final scheduled pit stop service here at the Red Bull Ring, as he will now relinquish effectively that 4th place to Anthony Sorrentino. Macaulay Bishop, who is the defending Rotax Max Challenge Grand Finals senior Rotax champion from last year. He already punched his ticket to this year's event that heads to Portimao, fun enough, at the Cartódromo Internacional do Algarve, which is literally a 5-minute walk from the Autodromo where I'm commentating here this weekend on Saturday. And funny enough, he went to the US to the RTX USA Winter Trophy Series, and eventually picked up his ticket. But I said to him, "You must be feeling a lot less pressure now that you've booked your place to the Grand Finals in Portimao." I went, "Yeah, it means I can have a bit of fun and I can enjoy my racing this year rather than being pressurised into winning a series and getting my ticket that way." But nevertheless, Brock Morris is starting to drop the hammer, and he last time around was half a second quicker, but he's got an LMP2 closing in. That is the 147, and none other than Macon Ginzoni, who's just been put a lap down. So the Dex Imaging Cadillac has moved away quite quickly. And one of the big things I've noticed here is if anyone is looking at SDK at the moment, don't be worried about the top speed trap for Brock Morris, which is showing. All I'm going to say is it's like maximum warp has been engaged on the NCC 1701D in the hands of Captain Jean-Luc Picard. We're seeing speeds of about 175 top line miles an hour, which is approaching. Well, 300 kilometers an hour is 186 miles an hour, if my math serves me correctly. And then we're seeing about a 15 mile an hour differential between the GTPs and the LMP2s. The LMP2s are topping about 160 as Gustavo Ferraro, with 13.5 minutes to go, now dives into pit lane. And it looks like, well, that car just dropped off the air jacks. So I'm wondering, because 15.8 seconds, that might be enough time to put some fuel in it and maybe stick a couple of tyres on it, maybe one side, because especially when you look at it, the majority of the corners here, Marshall, are right-handers.
It's a great point. It's something that was run into this week in Monday night's FMA GT3 series. When you run tracks that are primarily sloped one way, in the case of Monday it was Mosport up here, speaking of Canada, but these kind of medium speed, high lateral load corners, yeah, you're burning up one side of the car's tires much harder than the other when you're these one-way clockwise circuits. And it's going to be interesting. I think for a lot of drivers it's more comfortable just to take a set of fronts. It's often fastest in the pits, and that, as to your theory, would not take any time away from the natural fueling stop. But it's going to be interesting to see here. These drivers like Brock Morris, who, they're taking tires in the late stages, now under 12 minutes, not really enough time to justify the new set of rubber. But for Brock Morris, we're going to keep an eye here on his fastest laps. That battle for GTP continues. Ran a 1:21.5 last time by. That was Jenkins, as we see another case there. What we saw earlier with the incident with Peters and Mars, where a driver just checking up, that was Davis earlier, just checking up there on a pit road entry spells a little bit of doom. Brandon Anderson back up now to 4th position. What a comeback he's had through the day since the early stages. But Brock Morris last time by, that pace starting to come back, 1:21.9. That is now your new fastest lap of the race. 1:24.8 is now going to beat the best lap of, that was Jenkins earlier, a 1:21.56. So Brock Morris, he needs to find something in him right now. He's doing it. Again, we talked about it earlier, though. It's one thing to catch drivers at these tracks with very strong dirty air, limitation in these medium speed corners. It is another thing to pass them. I think we are in for a barn burner, the likes of which we haven't seen since 3 weeks ago at Daytona, when these same two gentlemen battled out for the last lap of that race, as Ignacio Arroyo has gone around elsewhere on track.
Yeah, the Threshold Motorsport teammate of Jeremy Eshelman, and this is going to be coming out of pit lane. So Cole, if he's got new tyres on that car, that is going to be a real shame for the man from Puerto Rico. Oh yeah, that's definitely not what you wanted to do. Well, he manages to get the 3-point turn engaged, and he now drops down into 8th position as a result of that mistake. Jeremy Eshelman, well, he's going to lose out more time as Eduardo Sales makes. Now he was looking he's looking a little bit slow now. Has he had a moment through into turn 10? Oh, he's going to spin it. Ay, 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 ay. And that was the exit curbing, causing the 22 to step out and make the nose point towards the inside of the final corner. So he was lucky he got away with that one. And more to the point, well, we have had another drama in the meantime. We've lost another prototype, because GTP, because Evan Gilmet did get the mechanical black flag. Now, I wonder what happened to the man from Portland, Connecticut, because he is not on the circuit. He ended up going into pit road. Ryan Peters dives into the pit lane for the final time. So Gilmet, I think, might have suffered damage, and I think that might have been just after his pit stop as well, because he came out of the pit lane, and then all of a sudden I saw mechanical black flags, so he must have had a drama, so probably damage was sustained by the number 68963 hybrid. But Brock Morris is chasing down Anthony Jenkins, the man from Tampa, Florida. And that gap is now 2.6 seconds. Brock Morris is absolutely flying at the moment, Marshall. 121.277, plays 121.688. That is over 4/10 gains. So the man from Lapeer, Michigan, looking for his third win out of the opening 4 weeks, as he's closing in on Mr. Anderson in the 001 car. Well, this is going to be pretty straightforward for the 05 Dex Imaging Cadillac V Series R as he heads into turn 1 at Niki Lauda corner. And that gap is coming down all the while. Faraz Ibrahim now dives into pit lane in the number 97 Porsche 963 hybrid. That is going to probably, more than likely, depending on how his pit stop goes, it's going to be nip and tuck between him and Sorrentino when Ibrahim comes out of pit road here, Marshall.
It's going to be very close. Yeah, Sorrentino was projecting, at least from my side, he should come out just behind, but it depends on the situation with tires. Even that little bit of a break on pit road, your tires are cooling down when you're parked or you're at such low speeds. Sorrentino there quite slow there on the exit of the first half of that corner, the Worth corner complex, as he's going to dive there to the inside of Jody Nielsen in the LMP2 class. Yeah, he's very much still in play as Ibrahim. I called it wrong. He's going to come out just ahead, about 4 seconds once they work out the momentum there in race time. And speaking of momentum, swinging one way, Brock Morris is making up time in handfuls now. Anthony Jenkins having to get past lap traffic there. That's the 22 car of Eduardo Salas, currently P3 and LP2. He has dealt with his last lap traffic car, at least for the moment. He doesn't foresee too much ahead of him right now, but Brock Morris takes another second margin, 120.9 his last lap.
The fastest lap that anyone has done in this race, and it is at this late stage with 7 minutes and 40 seconds to go. Brock Morris just blows the bloody doors off, in the words of Michael Caine from the original Italian Job back in the mid-1960s. 120.986. This man is an absolute machine at the moment, and that gap is now 0.76 of a second. It's like Daytona all over again. And Morris, this is what happened last time, where we saw Jenkins try the fuel strat, and Morris went, no, I'm going to stick 4 new tyres on the car, and I'm going to make sure that I'm going to be as fast as it can be. As there is Jeremy Eshelman. That's another car that Anthony Jenkins has got to get through rather quickly, and Morris is closing that gap. It's now under 0.6 of a second. Out through out of Worth and then heading down into Rindt, and this is the opportunity that as soon as Morris gets through on Eshelman, it is game on with 6 minutes and 40 seconds to go. I'm going to wonder what the lap times are going to be, because I don't think Brock Morris, well, if Brock Morris does a sub 1 minute 20.9 on this particular occasion, it'll be absolutely brilliant. But in this case, no, not quite. It's nearly a second that has been taken out of the race leader, and now you see them in the same shot. It is mano a mano, it's caddy versus caddy. Jenkins and Morris, round 4.
I can't wait. Here we go. Jenkins, he got to start thinking defensive now. That gap's down to 0.6. This is going to be his first great opportunity. Let's watch off the back end, the gearbox of Anthony Jenkins. He's going to get the power down a little bit weaker than Morris. Morris with that fresh rubber. This is the run down here into the long right-hand sweeping turn number 4. Let's see what Jenkins got in him. Does a good job getting there low. The front end points in well. Brock Morris, though, off the exit. You see just how early he's able to get back on the power. We'll go on board here for a moment with Brock Morris. You should see a pretty good run here, but he's wide on entry. He missed that entry apex, and you see sweet seesaw on the wheel for all he's worth, trying to keep that car under him. I know he's got fresher rubber. I know he should have that tire advantage, but trust me, folks, this car is not easy to drive in the best of days. And I said it before, Alex, as we come to 5 minutes to go here this time by, should be about 3 to 4 laps left in this race. Dirty air now going to start playing in effect.
Yeah, we probably are looking at about 4 laps of racing, so we're going to cross the line with just 5 minutes and 10 seconds to go. So we're running on a 1 minute 20. That is probably going to be 5 laps. 5 laps, I would think, because they're going rapidly by. But here is the opportunity now that Jenkins has. It's a straight-out dogfight as they go up the hill through turn 2, now towards turn 3 here at Remus. Morris is not quite within lunge range for turn 3, because if he did go and dive bomb Jenkins, then it would have been a bit haphazard and a bit too sort of, I think the term laissez-faire, where it's just like, yeah, just let's see what happens and just roll the dice. And if it's either you crap out, you get snake eyes, or you get lucky number 7. And you don't want to crap out in any kind of way, shape or form. And that's the thing. But look at the run here. Jenkins covers off Morris, who might have the inside line down the hill through in Rauch and then into Wörth. But on this particular occasion, Jenkins is just keeping that car on the white line. He's keeping it on the racing line. He's got to make it wider than a big 18-wheeler articulated lorry right now, because that is going to help him. But it's going to be a case of, can Jenkins keep the defence up? Just under 4 minutes to go, so that is going to give us effectively 3 laps of racing left as we cross the stripe. 3 minutes and 48 to go. Gap is still about 3 and a bit tenths of a second, so Jenkins is going to have to do the lastminute.com tee up, and the way it's going now, look at the run he's gotten through out of Nicky Lauda corner. The gap is less than 2 tenths. He is now in that window. He is within striking distance. Where is Morris going to park it? Well, he shows his nose. I think it's a case of going up into turn 3. They nearly have a little bit of contact between front and rear of the respective vehicles, but Jenkins still doing everything in his power. He is going to be sweating bullets right about now, is the man in the 732 Cadillac, because we're going down the hill into Schlossgold, and there you see the man himself, the man from Tampa, Florida, a face of concentration. I'm sure there's plenty of sweat perspiring from that brow of his, but he is doing a wicked job of keeping Morris at bay, because Morris, yeah, he might have the fresher tyres, but if you are that race leader, you are going to fight tooth and nail into the hilt to keep a hold of that victory, because what Jenkins wants to be is on victory lane. He does not want to be second best for the second time out of, well, for what will be the third time out of 4 weeks. And you can see the confidence he's got through the final 2 right-handers as Ryan Peters has gone off the circuit. Brock Morris has just got a slow down penalty. That's big, as we've got 2 laps to go. So Brock has now served that down the start-finish straight. Now he's got to get through on Peters. Cat-like reflexes from the man from Michigan.
That might have been the race right there. Not just the mistake, but that moment with Peters. That's going to kill his exit speed there off turn number 1 back up the hill. That gap now up to 1.5 seconds. Look at the interval there. Look how much he saves in the braking zone. And here we go, Anthony Jenkins. How about a little bit of lap traffic to spice this up with 2 to go? He's going to dive to the inside on Jody Nielsen. Look at Brock Morris flashing the cars. He's going to head by, I believe that is Broughton Jones. Next up, he's got one of the teammates of Eshelman and Arroyo. This is not over, but this is going to be huge. Can he split the difference here into the left-hand first of a set of sweepers here? He doesn't. He's to the outside of Nielsen, but he's stuck behind that next LMP2. Look at his hands there live from the onboard. He knows this is a desperate moment, and he couldn't quite split the difference there into that all-crucial high-speed single-lane set of left-hand sweepers. This race, as that gap's back into a 1.5 seconds, is going to be over unless Anthony Jenkins makes a mistake or Brock Morris could put together the best lap he has ever put down in FMA.
Right, white flag in the air here for the last time in 60 minutes of the adventure in Styria. Barney, the flag marshal, waving the white flag crazily as the gap is now 1.8 seconds and closing. You can see the brake discs on Brock Morris's number 05 glowing brightly red. through into turn 1 at Nicky Lauda corner. Up the hill we go for the final time here on lap 43. And as Brandon Anderson, that is a lastminute.com dive into the pit lane. That is going to cost him more than likely 4th position to David Marino. But I'm wondering if he is going to, or if he's hit, he's going to basically park that in the pit lane. But Jenkins, that gap is coming down. It's about a second. Going down through turn 4 for the final time, and it's now or never for Brock Morris. If he wants to have 3 wins going into the first of 3 endurance rounds, as we'll head to the 90 minutes of Spa next week, for week 5 out of 12, Jenkins has done everything he's needed to. He undercut Morris by over 11 seconds in his second of two pit stops. And now the calmness will be replaced with emotion. We go through into the final couple of right-handers. It is going to be 2 apiece. Jenkins comes out of the final corner, and he is going to take the win in the GTPs and beat chief rival Brock Morris, and now he can celebrate.
What a performance, what a drive there from Jenkins. I don't even know necessarily if the strategy was optimal there for him compared to Morris in this race, but he holds on, a great battle, and my goodness, are we lucky here, Alex, to have these 2 fine talents duking it out every week in the GTP class as your race winner. And the LMP2s crosses the line here in just a couple of moments. He's finishing up his lap in the middle stages. What a drive it's been for Maicon Gonzoni. He is in the middle of the lap, and P2 has already crossed the finish line of the lap prior. That tells you just how much of a gap he put on today. Those Vortex Racing teammates, we know they're quick, we know they dominate the overall pace in the LMP2 class, but his teammates had some trouble there early on. Remember, he started back in 5th, did Gonzoni, but he was the one guy today. No trouble, he benefited from the chaos at the beginning, he put together stonking lap times, and now he's 2 corners away from winning the LMP2 class.
An admirable and outstanding performance, was runner-up in Road Atlanta just 1 week ago, but it is going to be victory. So muito parabéns to Maicon Gonzoni, out of the final corner, will win here in the LMP2 division here at Spielberg by a country mile. 25.5 seconds is the winning margin. But when it came down to it, a spectacular display by Anthony Jenkins, who takes the W here in week 4 of the Freedom Motorsport Alliance Prototype Challenge here at the Red Bull Ring, ahead of Brock Morris, the winning margin by just over 0.95 of a second. And well, the man from Toronto, Ontario, Canada, Faraz Ibrahim, rounds out your top 3. And there you see that, well, more to the point, Brock Morris, fastest lap of the race, it still was not enough to help him get to the winners. Well, getting to victory lane, as there you see some celebratory donuts on the start-finish straight by Anthony Jenkins. Anthony Sorrentino and Ryan Peters ran out your top 3. We lost quite a few drivers. Zach Tankersley didn't take the start. Jay Davis and Chase Matsko out on laps 22 and 26 respectively. Evan Gelmet out on lap 32. Maicon Gonzoni takes the win in the LMP2 class, ahead of Jeremy Eshelman with Brazil's Eduardo Salles. Look, a 1-3 for Vortex Racing. Don't count these boys out of the championship yet, folks. David Marino and Gustavo Ferraro ran out your top 5. And more to the point, Brandon Anderson, Decio Lima, Ignacio Arroyo, Broughton Jones, Jody Nielsen round out your top 10. Matt Mars, Alex Anderson and Aaron Sanford, the latter 2 having big incidents, bringing their races to an abrupt end here in Styria. Right, now it's time to talk to some drivers. And I think, well, first of all, we're going to bring our race winner into the booth, our overall race winner, and he equals, it's 2 for 2. Let's bring him in. It's the man from Tampa, Florida, Anthony Jenkins. Good evening. Can you hear us?
Yep, I got you guys.
Man, that was a beautiful defensive ploy. You used that back marker traffic to perfection to keep Brock at bay, and what's more, it ties you both up at 2 wins apiece. How are you feeling, buddy?
Man, I'm feeling really good. I was really, I didn't think I'd get that one. I knew I'd have him in the pit stop because he stopped probably 3 or 4 laps before me in the first stint. So I knew I had a couple of seconds in my pocket there, but the pace that he unleashed at the end there was belligerent. So I'm really happy to take that one.
Yeah, I mean, it was an interesting ploy. I mean, how are the tyres faring after that second pit stop? Because you did a number on Brock this time. You stopped shorter in the pit stop by 11.2 seconds, and it was enough to keep you ahead. But that back marker traffic also helped. So talk to us about the deg on the tyres in that third stint. I mean.
Yeah, I didn't take tires in the second stop there. I don't know if Brock did or not. The tires were okay. I was really doing my best to take care of the rears. You know, really lifting early, and just really trying to take care of the rear tires, and that helped me out for sure. At least running consistent laps, and you know, I got fortunate with the traffic to get to it where I did and managed to squeak through there. Had a couple of tight moments, but it worked out.
Well, it was all worth it in the end, Anthony. Next week, it's our first of 3 endurance rounds, 90 minutes at Spa. Of course, the Caddy, we know that it's great in a straight line. It should prove to be its biggest, strongest point at the Ardennes Forest next week. Wouldn't you agree?
I would think so. I'm ready to let that big V8 sing, see what she can do.
Well, congratulations for the second time out of the first 4 weeks of the Freedom Motorsport Alliance Prototype Challenge Series. Congratulations. Who do you want to thank in particular, buddy?
As ever, you guys in the booth, I really enjoy the broadcast. FMA guys for putting the league together, and my wife for letting me play pretend race cars.
Well, Anthony, congratulations on your second win, equaling Brock on victories in the GTP class. We'll see you next week for the 90-minute Enduro at Spa in 7 days' time. Well done tonight.
Thanks, guys. I appreciate it.
Big thank you there to Anthony Jenkins. And now, joining Marshall Crocker, we've got the man who's just been equalled on race wins. He's standing by with Brock Morris.
Well, Mr. Morris, you are human. It is possible to take down the 05 car, but you had to fight and claw there for it. Awesome race there overall. You go from the pole. You run a really strong event overall. But talk me through strategy. That's going to be the word of the day. How did Anthony get you there in those late stages, and what was it that you just couldn't quite make the gap back up?
Absolutely. First of all, shout out to Anthony. I mean, it feels like every time we're running together, we always have a great finish. So it was a ton of fun at the end there. Yeah, I was debating the whole time, do I take tires? Do I not take tires on the last run? I did that short undercut the first run to see, because I felt like I was really losing time towards the end. I felt like my rears were just falling off like crazy. So then towards the end of the second run, I saw Anthony catching up, and I was like, you know, I should probably take tires, because if he takes tires, we're going to end up like Daytona again. So I ended up taking tires, and it ended up being a damned if you do, damned if you don't. So
Right.
yeah, I ran after him. Honestly, I can't be too disappointed, because those were the best laps I ran maybe all season were in that last stint. I was very proud of them, but it was, just not enough in the end. I ended up making a mistake, slightly locking the rears going into the final corner with, I believe, 3 to go or 2 to go. And from that point, it was pretty much a death sentence. But overall, I can't be too disappointed. Good points night, and super happy for Anthony.
Now, looking at the championship, you're now 4 races in, pretty good sample size, a variety of different racetracks. You led coming into today. You had a points lead, not one that was huge, but the drivers that you're trying to keep behind you. It was a rough day for Sorrentino. He recovers well enough to 4th, but it really does feel like it's going to be you and Anthony. With these cars in the prototypes at these high-speed circuits, what do you think is going to make the difference in the championship? If you can nail one thing the rest of the way over Anthony, what does it need to be?
Oh, that's a good question. I know there's a lot of stuff I got to work on in these cars, like traffic management, tire deg, which I'm interested to see. I might need to do some digging if that's more of a setup thing or my driving sort of thing. I'm leaning towards it's my driving, because I'm pretty lead-footed in these cars. But it's going to come down to getting the strategy right, since both Daytona and Red Bull Ring had strategy aspects to the finish, and also just trying not to minimize mistakes, because even with maybe not optimal strategy, a mistake kind of took me out right there at the end. So I believe those will probably be the 2 biggest things. And then, of course, trying to bring as fast as cars as possible.
Well, I think you got a little bit you mentioned there you want to work on in the prototypes. If I had to make a recommendation, just take some time off the GT3 practice. Really just commit your time to Thursday. You just kind of show up on Monday, see what happens. Give some other people a chance. That's what I would recommend as a friend and as a broadcaster. But
I don't know. I feel like there's some ulterior motives there.
You're reading into something.
Yeah, it sounds like it.
That's all right, everybody at home. Don't worry. Anyways, you're a beauty, Brock. Always a pleasure racing you. Thank you for putting on these awesome battles here on Thursday nights with us. Anybody you want to shout out there for what is a very hard-earned P2?
Absolutely. I'd like to shout out, first of all, Kettering University, Kettering Esports, Juicy Spider Studios, Highside Podcast. I'd like to shout out Alex Anderson. I think this is his first time in the league tonight. He came out for this. And yeah, I'd like to shout out you guys up here in the booth. You always do a great job. I enjoy coming out to FMA every week to, see everything that happens in the races and then watch it back in the booth. So yeah, I appreciate you guys. And then of course, everything FMA does.
Awesome. Well, thank you, Brock, as always, for joining us up in here. We will we'll see you back on Thursday. I will see you back on Monday. And again, just anything else in your free time. If you want to put that time into something other than practice for GT3, you go right ahead for it. All right.
Well, I feel like this week I might have a top speed disadvantage potentially. So
whatever.
Yeah, I'm gonna be putting in a lot of practice for Monza, trying to pick up the scraps. Trying to hang on to your coattails in the Mustang because I know that's pretty quick. So
awesome. Thank you, Brock. It's always a pleasure. We'll see you next week.
All right, I'll see you guys.
Well, we can now throw it to our LMP2 winner, as I don't believe we have Faraz Ibrahim, tonight's third place finisher, available to us. We'll put you in there with Alex with our winner, Maicon Gizzoni, and as is occasionally the case with the Vortex Racing drivers, I'm hearing we're gonna have a special guest, Gustavo Ferraro, our favorite. We'll bring him in the booth as well.
Yes, indeed. So, Gustavo, Maicon, good evening. Gustavo, firstly, how are you, buddy?
Hey, good. How are you, man?
Not too bad. Well, as we've got you in the booth, it was a tough one out there for you. I mean, you were having some really, really good battles. I think Matt Mars was the stand-up battle that you were having, and obviously we saw the incident where Matt got hit from behind by, I think it was Chase, and then ended up tagging you on the right rear. But still, you managed to come away with a 5th place finish. How are you feeling, first of all?
Yes, I'm feeling okay. I think I ended up better than I was expecting, though. So I was not well prepared, even more with the asphalt too hot like that. So I need more training on that one. And that incident with Matt, and he apologized. So Matt, no worries, we're still friends. So yeah, it was a little awkward there. Ended up spinning, probably lost the position that one, but it's a good. So I think the end was good. The 5th position is good to keep the championship there. So.
Brilliant. Well, I think it's time for you to get your translation skills into practice, because we have our winner, runner-up last time at Road Atlanta, Maicon Gizzoni, joins us. So firstly to Maicon, muito parabéns in your language. I mean, I'm currently in Portimao at the moment, Gustavo, which is why I'm feeling a bit local, so to speak. But firstly, can you ask Maicon how he's feeling now? He's finally got a win, and he just ran away with it.
Tá perguntando pra você.
Boa noite. Eu me senti muito bem. A pista estava numa temperatura agradável, e não foi tão quente quanto a corrida anterior. E eu estava focado em chegar na primeira posição o mais rápido possível, porque passar é muito difícil com esses carros. E era o meu foco principal, né? Mas estava muito tranquilo e bem, controlando o pace.
Oh, he said that he was feeling good, and even though the temperature was hot on this track too, was better than the last race, he said. And his focus at the beginning was to get to the P1 first, so because it's difficult to overtake on those conditions and with those cars.
Yeah, I mean, we did see that some drivers opted to take tyres in the first stint, but obviously Maicon having a very, very quick pit stop for the second one, heading into the final stint in the 60-minute race. Can you ask him about what his, obviously he mentioned track temperature, which we've also had a conversation with Brock Morris and GTPs about. How was the tyre degrading over the course of the race distance for him?
No meu primeiro stint eu senti o pneu muito bom, muito bom. No segundo stint eu controlei completamente o pace, justamente para não precisar fazer a última parada, mas no final da corrida eu já estava sem muito pneu, os pneus dianteiros já tinham desgastado, estava tendo que antecipar muito a frenagem para não sair de frente. Então desgaste de pneu sempre é um problema, mas hoje, como eu tinha uma grande vantagem, eu pude administrar.
So he said for the first stint, he pushed all he could. So the tires were pretty good. So the first stop, he did not change tires. And then for the second stint, because he had already some gap there, he paced himself a little bit. So controlling the tire wear. And when it got to the end of the race, he felt that the tires were pretty bad, very bad. So he didn't change any tire, so the whole race.
Wow, that's you know what, that I think that's been the most impressive victory we've had so far in the LMP2 division so far. I mean, his winning margin was 25.5 seconds, which, folks, in this kind of class with this kind of field that we've got, what Maicon Gonzoni has done tonight is nothing short of sublime. No tyre change whatsoever, controlling the pace, but still winning by a country margin. Gustavo, firstly, I'd like to say thank you to both for you, first of all, for translating for Maicon for us here on the live stream. But I've got one question for the both of you, which, Gustavo, I'd like for you to answer first. We head to our first endurance race, 90 minutes of Spa next week for week 5. How are you both feeling about that one?
Okay, I'll go first. So I like endurance. My focus on iRacing is endurance. So I think we're gonna do pretty good there. So consistency, it's what we train for. So we're practicing to get this consistency at the 100%. So let me ask him here now.
Yeah, sure.
Meu sentimento para a próxima corrida é ansiedade, né? Eu corro no iRacing puramente para fazer endurance, são minhas provas preferidas. Então, estou ansioso para poder lutar por mais uma vitória, fazer mais uma boa corrida e, quem sabe, começar a brigar pelo campeonato.
Well, so we didn't plan to answer the same thing, but he said, yeah, his focus on iRacing is endurance. He always try to be consistent, and he thinks he's going to do a good race and see if he can lead the championship after that endurance.
Brilliant. Well, a big thank you, muito obrigado to Gustavo Ferraro and Maicon Gonzoni, our 5th and 1st place finishers, guys. We will see you next week for round 5 at Spa-Francorchamps for the 90-minute endurance. Thank you for joining us tonight.
Thank you. Congratulations, everyone.
Good night.
A big thank you there to Gustavo Ferraro and Maicon Gonzoni, our drivers from the Brazilian contingent, who are really showcasing their strength in numbers. But last but by certainly no means least, it's the man who continues to lead the way after this 4th week, bringing us to a third of the way through the FMA Prototype Prototype Challenge Series. Joining Marshall Crocker now is Jeremy Eshelman. Marshall, over to you.
Hey, good evening, Mr. Eshelman. Pleasure to talk to you once again. Well, what a start to the championship it's been. What a championship of consistency, but a championship of some adversity there. Tonight you come through the field there from a couple spots down the order, and really as a whole, the LMP2 class felt After the early stages, it shook out, and just kind of the pace was pretty uniform. Do you think had that chaos at the beginning not kind of gone down, had you still been closer to the 147 car in the early stages, do you think you had the pace to really make a race out of that in the LMP2s?
If the 147 was the one that won it, I had nothing for him. He was in a class of his own. But yeah, the first lap missed some instance there, jumped to second, which was really nice. And then got a nice lead going through first pit stops. But at the end there, it got closer than I felt comfortable with.
We've seen a lot of parity and a lot of variety this season so far in the LMP2 class. It seems like even the best out there, you know, the Vortex racing drivers, the trio or the quad of Brazilians, incredible pace from that group. Obviously, David Marino is quite quick. Brandon Anderson has incredible flat-out pace, as we saw last week. But every week, it seems like there's a lot of trials and tribulations on the cold tires. Do you think that the field as a whole is going to learn over the course of the year? And you yourself, have you kind of learned to take it a little bit easier at the beginning, seeing how tricky these LMP2s seem to be in the early stages of every race?
Yeah, I mean, from my view, not that I saw everything that happened. I mean, I saw a spin in the front that moved me to second. Other than that, I didn't really see many other LMP2s, so I just kind of went to conversation mode, just kind of try to save some tires for the end, because I was planning to run the whole thing on no tires. I accidentally did not uncheck them for the splash and go at the end. Yeah, it's hard to say since I haven't seen what happened throughout the field, but I just try to stay very consistent. And then Eldorado Sales there at the end, I saw him reel me in about 4/10 a lap, and I was putting down the fastest laps I had, and he still got within a second of me there. So good job to him run me down, and he made me watch my mirror very closely.
Well, next week, everything you just talked about, the consistency, the ability to play it safe over the longer run while balancing it with pace. How about a 90-minute mini endurance of sorts there at Spa-Francorchamps? What does that bode for you? Are you like most drivers on iRacing that have an affinity for the Belgian circuit?
I'm actually really looking forward to that. Spa, I think, is my best track on the service. I feel like I always fight above my class on that track. I did win the GT3 there last season in FMA, so that's a track I know very well, and I think I can be fighting up towards the top again.
Yeah, you beat me for it, you jerk. That was the race I almost found a way to bring home P2 or P1, but you had incredible pace there in the GT3s, and it's one of those tracks that, you know, you could say it about many, but it's one that you really either get it or you don't, in the way that you got to balance the tire heating and everything like that. You've done an exceptional job at it so far this season in the prototypes. You're at the top end, the sharp end of the field for a reason, not just in the points, but in tonight's race. Congrats on a great finish there, Jeremy. Anybody you want to give a shout out to for what was a stellar P2 night for you?
Yeah, I'll give a shout out. I'm not to anyone that's still watching. I don't know if anyone tuned in or not that I know. Also, obviously, all my teammates at Threshold. We have some guys running tonight, and GT3s and the next gens here in FMA, and then all of the FMA guys for doing a very good job putting this together.
It's been a pleasure, Jeremy. Thank you for putting on a great show for us here tonight and the rest of the season as a whole. Look forward to getting you back in the broadcast booth. Best of luck prepping for the big 90 minutes next week at Spa.
Thank you, guys.
There you go. Always a pleasure chatting with Jeremy Eshelman, a gentleman who's won races so far this season in the LMP2 class, as many different drivers have. Tonight, though, he'll settle for P2.
Yeah, and bit of breaking news, folks. We've just had some incidents that drivers are going to be affected for the 90-minute Enduro at Spa. Anthony Sorrentino is going to have a drive-through penalty after multiple incidents on the track. Matt Mars, EOL next race. Ryan Peters, EOL next race, which means they are going to have to start from the back no matter where they qualify for Spa-Francorchamps. But Marshall, your final words before we sign off here on Race to Nexus after what has been a wicked race here at the Red Bull Ring here for week 4 of the FMA Prototype Challenge Series.
I'm just loving this series. I'm kind of still processing everything we saw today, the different battles throughout the field, who was fast, who wasn't, and another great battle for the win tonight in GTP, and another winner in LMP2. I love that we're getting so much variety. I love that we're getting diversity of result, and man, I think we have so much left in the tank this season for great battles, for guys to make a name for themselves, and I just love Spa. As a driver, as a viewer, I think it's a track that is difficult in all variety of different ways. It's an interesting multi-class race and in the endurance racing world, and I think 90 minutes for these drivers to approach the race with a little bit more calm, a little bit more composure, because you know you have further to go. You know you just got to lock it down, play it safe. Hopefully we'll see more cars through the early stages of that event, and I think if we can get 10 cars in each class comfortably in the zone, comfortably running lap times, and we get a proper, real endurance race battle next Thursday night, I think we are in for an absolute doozy in round 5. But I'm loving doing this series with you. Thank you to Racer Nexus as always for letting me put these on and be a part of the show with you. And Alex, you're a gentleman and a scholar, and I never need to buy a racing thesaurus or a racing encyclopedia when I got your number on speed dial, my friend. You're an absolute gentleman. You're a pleasure to call with, and I can't wait for 7 nights' time.
The pleasure is all mine, Mr. Crocker. Well, folks, thank you so much for joining us. There is the calendar. We head to the iconic roller coaster that is Spa-Francorchamps next week, 7 days' time, for the first of 3 endurance rounds of the Freedom Motorsport Alliance Prototype Challenge Series GTP and LMP2 multi-class. Well, how can we round up things here at the Red Bull Ring? Let's just put it this way. Jenkins jolted up things to volume number 11 in GTP, whereas Maicon Ginzani was magnificent amidst the Steiermark here in Styria. What's going to happen in 7 days' time on the roller coaster that is known as Spa-Francorchamps and the Ardennes Forest of Western Belgium? Well, you can tune in right here at the Racer Nexus Network here live on YouTube. A big thank you to everyone that has watched along tonight. Also, a big thank you to our good friends at trackcams22.com, trackcams for connoisseurs. Also to our friends for the Apex Sim Racing Shop, and if you do have a look in the description down below, you'll see a referral link. If you want to get your hands on some stuff, like maybe say the revolutionary SimCube active pedal set, and I have tried these myself personally at the CrowdStrike 24 Hours of Spa-Francorchamps back in 2023. They do exactly what they say on the tin. Get yourself a 5% discount. Use the coupon code on checkout, Racer Nexus. That's all lowercase, all one word. So, 7 days time, we head to Spa for round 5 out of 12 for the Freedom Motorsports Alliance Prototype Challenge Series. Who will be sterling and spectacular in Spa? Well, join us then. And until next time, thank you so much for joining myself, Alex Goldschmidt, and Marshall Crocker up here at the Racer Nexus Global Broadcast Center. We will see you then. Until next time, race hard, race fair, and as you'll find out in 7 days when we go to Spa, you're going to have to go flat out. Thanks for tuning in. Good night.